If you don't have the LLM, then it's going to struggle and you're not going to really be able to weave together all of this data the way that it should be. And if you don't have the neuroscience, you're just stroking your own ego, perpetuating the yes, I'm so wonderful. And then we're going to shake our head and say, this wasn't any better. Yeah, it was grammatically correct. It was polished, but it really wasn't any better. So this AI stuff is just a bunch of hogwash.
So, Patrick, welcome to Scale to Freedom, buddy.
Thank you, Cal. Appreciate it. Glad to be here.
Mate, we've been chatting for a little while, and just to give you some perspective, folks, Patrick is not just coming at this from an AI or technical perspective. He is the founder of what's called Ask Alex, which is an awesome little way in which you can build some skills and an MCP with inside of Claude. He's taught me a massive amount about how to use Claude more effectively. But we're going to scale it right down today, Patrick, aren't we? We're going to really talk about just some of the basic principles and understanding AI in general and taking it there. So let's get started. So, Patrick, you've studied a lot of AI tools over the past year or so. What's the single biggest lie the AI industry is selling us right now?
Oh, boy. I think one of the biggest lies, or I'm not going to say lie, because I think part of it is they don't know what they don't know. So if you don't know what you don't know, you can't, and you don't say it, then it's not a lie. Or if you say the contrary. So I think one of the biggest things is that they want you to believe that you can control AI and teach it to please not just you, but somebody else. And that is really hard. And no matter, I've heard it for the last year and a half, that people are just so, they love AI, but they're so tired of it being just there to please me and blow smoke up my skirt. And they keep saying, no, we can do this, we can do this. You are going against the grain if you just use regular AI platforms, because they were designed to please you. No matter what you do, until you really know how to break their code and make it do something different, they're going to make you feel like you're in control, but really they're in control.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really a challenge. Of course, now we talk about hallucinations and bits and pieces, but it really is just the way in which you use it that really comes down to it. And understanding what it can and it can't do is a real thing.
Yes. Yeah.
So we've been talking a lot about different things. So, and you talk about the 5 ingredients that every complete AI tool needs. So there's 5 ingredients. What happens to the output even if one of those go missing? And you might like to actually tell us what those 5 ingredients are.
Sure, absolutely. So let me put the 5 ingredients into an analogy, and that'll answer the first question. What happens, Kel, when you take flour, yeast, salt, water, and you give it a little bit of time? You get a loaf of bread.
Mm.
But if you take any one of those ingredients out, you get something that is very different than bread.
Yeah.
So when you take out an ingredient, you have a very predictable outcome of, and it's not what you think it's going to be. So what are the 5 ingredients? And as I've looked at it, because I apply this to Ask Alex, but I also look at it from the 15 years of sales coaching that I've done and the neuroscience. So what are the 5 ingredients? Number 1, a really complete AI tool, platform, whatever they call it, the developer. I say it needs to have specialized agents or tools.
Mm.
Now, I've seen some that say we have the super mega giant agent that does everything. Well, if it does everything, then it probably does it all very superficially and it does nothing because it can't dive deep because it's trying to do everything at once. So it goes against itself.
Mm.
So we need specialized agents that they have one task and they can go very deep. And those tasks are only activated when they're needed, when they're called on. So we're not trying to run everything at once. That'd be like, I need I need the dryer in my house, but I'm going to go turn on every single electrical appliance just to get the dryer. That doesn't make sense. And I'm wasting a lot of other stuff when I'm doing that. So we need to have specialized agents. Number two, has to be curated content. AI, as you said earlier, is known and criticized a lot for hallucinating, making stuff up. Um, I've had it make up studies that sound so good, and they say, "Where'd you get it?" Oh, that was just illustrative to show
Mm.
you what you could find. I'm like, well, you're not helping me. So we need that curated content, something that is true, is founded, and that the agents will always go to because we want consistency. If we're thinking about AI as a training tool over time, the more the user gets the consistent answer, the more they're going to be learning it as they're going. And that curated content, it is like having a book and you can always read the book over and over, but just the phrase and the line that you need. Okay, so you have to have that content in there. The third element or ingredient is company context. The AI needs to know who the company is and who the user is. In sales, that could be I want to know the company background, I want to know the website, I want to know their packages, I want to know their pricing, I want to know their marketing, I want to know all their marketing material. And from the seller user point of view, tell me about how you think. Tell me, let's know about you, your writing style, your voice, your everything. So we have any complete solution needs to be able to you need to be able to fill in or give it the company context. If not, it's just making stuff up what it thinks you are and not based on what you are.
Yes.
The fourth is that, and maybe this people go, well, of course, but it has to be tied into a reliable and robust LLM, large language model. Now, everyone has their preference. I prefer Claude. Other people prefer GPT. Other people prefer Gemini. Other people prefer Copilot. That's fine. Okay. But you need to have it plugged into something because you have all this data between the agent and the content and the context. And all of this has to be brought together and it has to have reasoning and thinking to be able to produce something that makes sense.
Yes.
Okay. If you have a small language model that can only do a little bit, it's not really going to be able to take all that data and work with it. And the fifth element ingredient is neuroscience and the other person's perspective. AI, all the platforms are there to please us, the user.
Yes.
And they're going to tell you how brilliant you are. They're going to tell you how wonderful you are. This is the smartest idea since the beginning of time because they're always trying to please us. And in anything that we're doing for communication, it doesn't really matter what we think about our communication. It's how is it going to land on the other person.
Yes.
And so if you don't have specialized agents, you get very superficial answers on whatever topic. If you don't have the content, it's going to go search for answers. So it's going to bring you anything And if you ask the same question for 5 days, you'll probably get 5 different answers. If you don't have the company context, it's going to assume who you are. And then you're going to get frustrated because it's going to assume incorrectly. If you don't have the LLM, then it's going to struggle and you're not going to really be able to weave together all of this data the way that it should be. And if you don't have the neuroscience, you're just stroking your own ego, perpetuating the yes, I'm so wonderful. And then we're going to shake our head and say, this wasn't any better. Yeah, it was grammatically correct. It was polished, but it really wasn't any better. So this AI stuff is just a bunch of hogwash.
Mm, absolutely. And folks, what Patrick is saying to us here, that there is a mix, if we're going to make a loaf of bread, make sure you don't miss out the ingredients. If you're going to use AI, you've got to have all the ingredients. And one of the big factors, and this is what we'll go into episode 2 or part B of this particular series, is this idea of neuroscience. Now, until I connected up with you, I didn't realize that AI is totally void of thinking like that. Totally void. And what happens is we think that if we put in who our target market is, then whatever outputs is going to be the right thing. However, what it does, it actually communicates to us in our language model, in our style of thinking. So we think it's good. And we think we've actually hit the target market because we know their pain point and all those sort of things. However, it doesn't really communicate to them. It communicates to us. So we think we're doing a good job. It sounds good to us because it works in our thinking because it's got all our context, but it hasn't challenged us in that neuroscience. And if I just take this moment, I want to share, folks, like this neuroscience piece is, I don't like to coin this corny phrase of, the game changer or whatever, but it really is. It absolutely nails it. My sort of personality is, let me just get stuff done fast. That's I'm a productivity person. I want to get back to the beach. I want to put my florally shirts on and have some fun. So I just want to get my job done fast. And so that's my personality. But some people want all the detail. And so when you're communicating to somebody, just that two contrasts, and there's so many other contrasts. When people are wanting detail and I'm putting on the dot points, I go, gee whiz, that's got to the point really fast. I'll put that out. But if if the person you're trying to communicate with wants the detail and you're giving them dot points or vice versa, you're going to miss the mark.
Yeah. And one of the other pieces of neuroscience is when I was studying neuroscience in the pandemic, we learned about personality styles and learning styles and behavioral styles, and they were all very interesting to me, but they're all very downstream. That's when we're acting. The one that really stood out to me was thinking styles, which most people have never heard of. And ironically, it is the oldest type of style that's been out there. It's been around since the 1970s. That's when it was kind of brought out. And in essence, the studies showed that there are 4 different parts of our brain. And everybody is dominant and most agile, the vast majority of society, in one part of the brain. Some are the smaller percentage in 2 parts, smaller in 3, and some people are dominant in all 4. And why is that important? So I am dominant in process and data. So when I write, my brain automatically goes to process and data because that's the easiest way for me to write.
Yes.
Where I struggle because I don't have the natural dominance is in the people side, the relationship side. Now, does that mean I don't like to talk to people? No. Does that mean I don't like people? No. Well, some people I don't like, but most people I like them. But I don't write for them. I write and it sounds good to me. So if I don't write for people, relational people, or future thinking people, be just naturally, and I give it to AI and I say, hey, look at this great thing I wrote. It's gonna say, oh, this is so wonderful. Let me clean it up and polish it up, and it's gonna be so wonderful. And when it cleans it up, I go, oh my gosh, this is much better
Mm.
for me.
Yeah.
But it's not for the other people.
Yeah.
And so we think because it's better that it's more effective because it will say, wow, I never would have thought of that. Oh my gosh, such a better way of writing this for me. And when people say that, I say, wonderful. Are you selling to yourself? Are you writing letters to yourself? No. Then you're focused on the wrong person.
Yes. Mate, this, folks. We're here at Scale to Freedom to help you to become free and to scale. However, if you're not speaking to the people you're trying to reach, if you're basically speaking to yourself in your language, that's what we're communicating in today. So when you're selecting your AI tool and understanding it, this neuroscience piece is one of the big factors. So, folks, just get that through your head. Just having just having what everybody is saying out there on social media is the best AI tool. If it doesn't have this neuroscience, if it doesn't have that part to it to challenge your thinking, you're probably missing out on something.
And not just challenge your thinking, but if it's not capable of thinking in the receiver's from the receiver's point of view.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So when you're evaluating AI tools, because and they're coming out fast and furious,
Mm.
what should you look for? Those 5 ingredients. And sometimes you'll see a really good demo and you go, wow, that was so impressive. And then if you take the tool and buy it, it's like, this isn't really working the way that I thought it would. And you call them up and you say, hey, this isn't working the right way. What's going on? Well, this, and this. It's working exactly as it was designed. It just wasn't designed with how do you bring in the content? It wasn't designed with all the agents that can go deep. Maybe it wasn't designed with the how to bring all of your company information in. And it more than likely was not designed with the neuroscience and saying, I don't really care about you, the person. It's more important the other person.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And so it's not that they have defective tools. Their tools are running exactly like they said they would. They just didn't include all the pieces that I feel are important for an AI tool. So when you're evaluating, ask them questions like, so what agents do you use? Can you cite some agents or tools that are in here? And if they can't cite any, or just we have the big monster agent, okay, red flag. If they say, what do you use for neuroscience? And or the receiver perspective. Well, no, we write in the best way possible. Okay. Red flag. Those are the questions that people just don't know to ask yet
Yes.
because we fall in love with the solution. The demos look pretty cool. They're like, wow, these are slick. So we fall in love with the solution more than we fall in love with trying to evaluate.
Yeah. So some great tips there, folks. What Patrick is saying to you is when you're evaluating, don't get fooled by the bright, shiny object, the whiz bang demo. Ask those particular questions. What's the agent? Is it 1, 2, 5, 10, 20, whatever it might be? Has it got multiple agents, not just one big conglomerate of mess? All right. What is the neuroscience behind it? There's some key questions that you can come up with, and that can make that really becomes a matrix saying, yes, I'll use that one. No, I won't use that one. Or how do I use this one and maybe add some other pieces like Claude? Like this is where you've come in with with Ask Alex. You've got this neuroscience. Ask Alex plugs into Claude to make Claude think this way, and that's the beautiful part about it. So, mate, let's get a little bit deeper. So you mentioned about AI is designed to please you to the point where it'll agree with whatever you've got, even if it's a freaking terrible idea. How does that become dangerous for a business owner trying to use it to grow and to scale to freedom?
I would say it's almost like a you have a coach on your side who is just going to tell you how wonderful you are and just keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. And you become so um your ego becomes so confident, overly confident, that you start going down, you start believing everything, and then you start creating biases in your brain that I'm so smart, I know this, I know that. And those biases are going to drive your actions that will, at the end, probably not give you the results you wanted. And you're just sitting there saying, but I was doing everything right. Well, by whose definition? If you don't get pushback, you know, coaches are not there for an athlete to say, hey, you missed that shot. Yeah, you're great. They work with technique. They work with something. They're there to actually coach.
Mm.
If no matter what you do, it something tells you you're so wonderful, then I mean that will take a business owner down a path that they falsely believe that they are doing everything correctly. And AI is not going to say like, I'm thinking about, you know, I'm thinking about selling apples. It's not going to say, no, 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 you should be selling rocket ships. It's not going to be that distinct. If it says, I think I should be selling apples. Ooh, you know what? Maybe you should sell a mix of red and green and yellow apples. But selling apples could be the worst idea in the world. But it's not going to tell you that. It's just going to kind of skirt around it and support whatever it thinks you want it to hear.
Yes. Yeah. Mate, this has been awesome. I just want to touch on before we go today. You've built Ask Alex to solve this particular problem. That's what it's there to. That's what it's there to solve. All right, and so you built that around these 5 ingredients to make sure it's thing. What was? Can I say like? There's a lot. I know what's gone into it. Now I've seen in behind the scenes, and it's huge. What was the hardest thing to build, and which one matters the most to people that are listening here today?
So, probably the hardest thing to build, looking back, now today it's much easier because the technology has come up so fast.
Mhm.
But thing that took us the longest time was actually the MCP, how to connect it in, how to bundle it.
Yeah.
Because the MCP was created by Anthropic Claude as like the universal USB of how to connect, but it only came out in November of 2024.
Yeah.
And we were trying to build Ask Alex in January, February, March, April of 2025, when people didn't even know what an MCP was.
Yes.
Now you can build them. So that took the longest time to crack the code, just because no one knew what the code should be.
Yes.
So that was a technological thing. What is the most critical, most important? I think of all of them, it's the neuroscience and being able to check it against various parts of neuroscience. We have in Ask Alex, there are 3 different ways that we bring neuroscience into it. One is the thinking styles that I talked about. You can assess yourself and you can balance writing. You can do all of that so you can talk to all parts of the brain. The other one is the crocodile brain and checking it to see, is this going to be received well? Is it too complicated, or is it just going to be flat out blocked out? So everything can be run through that. And then the other one is the perspective, thinking of creating a persona out there of who's going to receive that message, and it will think like that persona so that it can test it against it. So that neuroscience and getting out of your own head and going the other way, that to me is the foundation of all communication. And that's the most important part. You could piecemeal all the other stuff together. Write an article from yourself by yourself and then give it to it. But you should always give it to something to know, is this going to land well?
Yeah. Folks, gold here. All right. I say about gold nuggets, we have a lot of gold nuggets here on Scale to Freedom, but this is something that will take you to a massive new level. And I just want to give you, Patrick, a bit of kudos here, exactly what it's done for me. All right. Very short period of time we've been working together. And by using Ask Alex, I've got it now built in. The MCP's built into Claude for me now, and it's all working. And a lot of the things I do is around JV partnerships, creating partnerships and doing joint ventures. And so I was presenting these ideas to people from my perspective, in my way of thinking. And I always wondered why people don't just look at the logic and say, hey, we can do this together and we can make some money out of it and we can help some people, why they didn't see it. Well, I've just taken the stage where I had my own little skill sets in Claude, and I was running through those, come up with these beautiful documents. Now with Ask Alex, since I've actually plugged that into this process, well, like I'm talking about one after another, they just get it, because all of a sudden it's not just talking in my language, it's talking in theirs.
Yeah. Yes.
And you can see it as it's going through Claude, the little, hey, now I'm doing another pass. I'm running the crocodile brain. I'm running this, and it's just gold. It really is. I don't know what's better than gold. I'm just going to keep on staying with that one. But it just makes that massive difference. And so, first of all, thank you, all right, for opening up this world that's changed the way in which I communicate. I always knew I did that, but I just didn't know how to make the change. And it's impossible to change yourself. So all you can do is have the tools. Ask Alex does that. So I want to thank you for this, bringing this to the table, bringing this to the world, and what you do. And also thank you for being on Scale to Freedom today.
Thank you. I enjoyed it. And yes, for many years I was in training and teaching, and it was always about how to help the people do whatever they needed to do better.
Yeah.
And whatever that meant. And for me, Ask Alex, I never wanted or thought about creating a technology tool, but having a tool that can actually help people where they're struggling. That brings me back to my teaching days. This is a tool for solopreneurs, coaches, consultants, salespeople. They have to sell. They don't like selling. They struggle with it. It's not their zone of genius. And they just don't know what to do next. They don't know what the conversation is.
Yeah.
They want to get leads, and then they go, oh shit, now what do I do? I don't know how to talk to them sometimes. And they just struggle. And nobody should have that much struggle trying to do what they feel passionate about, which is whatever their zone of genius is. I'm an accountant, let's say. I love doing people's books. I would hate that, but okay. But they don't know how to get people to want them to do their books.
Yes.
But if they can have a tool that can say, just ask this, talk about this, do that. It's all built in. Selling isn't really that bad. You're right, it's not. It's just that we've got in our head that it's so hard and I'm not good at it and blah, 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 blah. We've convinced ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. Folks, we're going to pause him there because I know where he's going. He's going into the neuroscience of sales. And it is such a fascinating topic. And if you don't think it's fascinating, you should think at least that you've got to listen to it to know what it is and then make those relevant changes. And we're going to come back to that in a part B. So we're going to sign off today. We've been talking about AI and how AI hallucinates, gets it all wrong. And there's those 5 ingredients. You want to just quickly say, what are those 5 ingredients again, Patrick?
Specialized agents, you need curated content, company context, the LLM, and then neuroscience and the receiver or buyer perspective. I'll say buyer because we're buying the message. You have to buy the idea.
Yes.
You don't have to just think about selling as products and services. We are selling ideas. So the buyer of the message and the ideas.
Such a great, simple methodology. In here, you've actually now got the questions that you can ask about what is the right tool for you. That's what it's about. So AI alone is not enough. That's what we've been talking about here today at Scale to Freedom. AI alone is not enough. It needs that human content to it. It's a computer. It needs the neuroscience. It needs the feedback, and it needs to push you back rather than just making you happy.
Yes. Yes.
That is the message of today. And if you haven't got that, you need to rewind and go again. Now, Patrick, you've got some giveaways, so how to think about stuff. We're going to be able to see a link down here. We're going to be giving that away. How do you go through the process, thinking about this process? Tell us just a little bit about those gifts you're going to give away for the folks today.
Yeah, I put together actually an evaluation guide. The 5 ingredients. What are they? More detail, and it's what are those questions? What should we look for?
Yeah.
No one else is. Someone might tell you, get a good LLM. Well, what's a good LLM? It's easy to say the what, but how do you evaluate?
Yes.
So I've put together some documents that will just give you something to go down that path. It's not going to make the decision for you. You have to make the decision if it's important enough or not. But what you want to avoid are very expensive experiments.
Yes, exactly right. And it costs a lot. So, folks, wrap up today. Scale to Freedom, another episode here of the podcast closing down. Please make sure that you like and share this with as many people. Come and join us in our community, the Scale to Freedom community. The links will be in the bio here, the comments, or on the page you're watching this. And if you can see it on a video, you'll actually see it up the top on top of my head here, a little QR code. Jump on, join the community. And in there, you'll be able to get a hold of all these little tools and extra pieces to be able to help you to make those right decisions when we actually say AI is not enough by itself. Thank you again, Patrick, for your time. I look forward to the next episode where we get right into the neuroscience.
Thank you.
Until then, folks, bye for now.